Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Tyler Reed, and today we're diving into a story that's both alarming and a stark reflection of our times. The recent federal charges against a Florida man for making violent threats against former President Donald Trump and Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell. This case, detailed in a recent Guardian article, isn't just about one individual. It's a window into the rising tide of political violence threatening the very fabric of American democracy. Over the next 10 minutes, we'll break down the indictment, the alleged threats, the victims' responses, and the chilling statistics that show this is part of a much larger, dangerous trend. Let's get into it. The core of this story revolves around a federal indictment unsealed in the Northern District of Florida. The defendant, Diego Villavicencio, now faces 4 counts for allegedly making violent threats against a member of Congress and the President of the United States. According to the indictment, these weren't just offhand comments. They were a series of targeted, menacing messages sent between September 2025 and January 2026. One of the most disturbing aspects is the specificity of the threats. In one instance, after Congressman Eric Swalwell posted on X about the Justice Department's failure to prosecute death threats against him, an account believed to be Villavicencio's replied publicly, "I'll kill you and your family, and you won't do anything about it. Corruption listens to bullets." The alleged threats then escalated to a direct message, ominously stating, "You are going to be shot and killed on September 24th. Congressman Swalwell, a prominent California Democrat and outspoken critic of Donald Trump, who is now running for governor, confirmed to NBC News that he was the unnamed member of Congress referenced in the indictment. This case is deeply personal for him, as he has been vocal about the constant security concerns for himself and his family, directly linking them to the heated political climate. The threats against him are a central pillar of the government's case. But the alleged threats didn't stop with Congressman Swalwell. The indictment against Diego Villavicencio also charges him with threatening the life of the U.S. president. In a message sent in January 2026, he allegedly wrote, "I'll be driving there to take a couple of shots at Trump and some other corrupt plutocrats." The casual mention of taking shots at a former president and current candidate underscores the volatile nature of the threats and the significant security implications involved. Furthermore, a third individual was also targeted, seemingly Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. The FBI affidavit details a post where the user wrote, "Jerome is next." This threat was deemed serious enough to be reported by a senior special agent with the Federal Reserve System's Protective Services Unit. It specifically prompted security concerns before Powell's scheduled appearance at an economic luncheon in Warwick, Rhode Island, last September. This detail shows how these online threats have real-world consequences, forcing security agencies to take protective measures for public officials across different branches of government. Villavicencio's lawyer has declined to comment on the charges. A trial has been set for this May in Tallahassee, Florida, where he will have the opportunity to respond to the allegations. The outcome of this trial will be closely watched, not only for its legal implications, but also for what it signals about the consequences of political violence in today's America. It raises critical questions about the line between free speech and criminal threats, and how the justice system should handle the surge in menacing rhetoric directed at public servants. This case against Diego Villavicencio isn't happening in a vacuum. It's the latest data point in a deeply troubling trend of escalating political violence and threats against public officials across the United States. The Guardian article reminds us of several recent, jarring examples that have shattered the sense of security for many in public life. Last year alone, we witnessed the tragic assassinations of right-wing activist Charlie Kirk and Minnesota Democratic State Legislator Melissa Hortman, along with her husband. In a separate incident of domestic terrorism, the home of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro was firebombed. These are not abstract threats. They are real acts of violence that have resulted in deaths and destruction, creating an atmosphere of fear. Just last month, a man was sentenced to life in prison for his 2024 attempt to assassinate Donald Trump on a Florida golf course, a stark reminder of the persistent danger former presidents face. The numbers paint an even grimmer picture. A recent report from the U.S. Capitol Police revealed that the number of threats and concerning statements directed at lawmakers, their families, and their staff skyrocketed to nearly 15,000 in 2025. To put that in perspective, that's a dramatic increase from 9,500 just the year before. This isn't just a statistic. It represents thousands of instances where the people elected to serve the public and their loved ones have been forced to live under a shadow of potential violence. It's no surprise that some members of Congress have explicitly cited safety concerns and the threat of political violence as their reason for deciding to leave office, a profound loss for Democratic representation. Congressman Eric Swalwell has been at the forefront of raising these very concerns. During a congressional hearing just last month, he confronted Attorney General Pam Bondi directly, recounting the multiple death threats he and his family have received. He shared his deep frustration and fear, noting that in 2 specific instances, the Department of Justice had actually declined to prosecute the individuals who made these threats. His message was one of desperation and a plea for help. "We never expected that the Department of Justice would not seek to prosecute and investigate those who are making threats against us," Swalwell told Bondi, his voice carrying the weight of someone living under constant threat. "I'm just asking for your help to protect life, because life is at risk with the environment we're in now." This statement powerfully captures the new reality for many public servants. The system meant to protect them sometimes falls short, leaving them feeling vulnerable and exposed. Attorney General Bondi's response was noteworthy. She acknowledged being personally aware of some of the threats against Swalwell and stated that some of the cases were very active. In a moment of bipartisan reassurance, she emphasized, "None of you should be threatened, ever. None of your children should be threatened. None of your families should be threatened. You can come into my office any day. I will work with all of you on both sides of the aisle if you are ever threatened." While her words offered a commitment to prioritize these cases, the underlying tension remains. The sheer volume of threats is overwhelming, and the fear for many is already a daily reality. So where does this leave us? The case of Diego Villavicencio is more than just a news story about one man's alleged crimes. It's a stark warning sign about the state of our political discourse and the normalization of threats as a tool of expression. As we've seen, this is not an isolated incident, but part of a wave of political violence that has already turned deadly. The fact that a sitting congressman has to plead with the Attorney General for basic protection, and that security details must scramble to protect officials from Fed chairs to former presidents before public events, speaks volumes about the current climate. The upcoming trial in Tallahassee will be an important test of how the justice system handles these cases. But the broader challenge extends beyond the courtroom. It forces us, as citizens, to reflect on the consequences of our heated rhetoric and the ease with which online platforms can be used to spread terror. Protecting democracy isn't just about holding elections. It's about ensuring that those who serve in the government can do so without fearing for their lives or the lives of their families. This story is a sobering reminder that this fundamental principle is under threat. I'm Tyler Reed. Thanks for watching. Please share your thoughts on this case and the rise in political violence in the comments below. And as always,